This is Robert Barrick. It is Tuesday, March 12th, and I'm creating this video to upload onto YouTube, again regarding recent activities, recent criminal conduct of certain officers and detectives of the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Dept, the IMPD. This has been going on for months, ever since my arrival here, but in the past few weeks, they have increased their depraved, sadistic, criminal, illegal activity in the hopes, in the determination of finding a justification to take criminal action against me, either charging me with a false crime or perhaps attempting to deny me my liberty by manufacturing evidence that would suggest that I am unstable in some way and pose a threat. These are absolutely untrue. They are complete and total fabrications that these despicable officers are attempting to perpetrate in order to discredit me and to stop me from my continued activities, my continued First Amendment protected activities of petitioning my government for the redress of grievances by contacting various government agencies and officials to report, to record their criminal tactics and to access the courts by interfering with my ability to complete pleadings and to interfere directly with my ability to sustain myself in the sense of interfering with my livelihood just so that I can, exist. That included interfering with my employment, interfering with my my housing, interfering with my application to various public and private agencies for assistance. So they've really gone the gambit, and most recently, in a letter that I sent to a judge of the Marion County Superior Court, the judge that holds the title of criminal chair, Judge Lisa Borges, alerting her of the fact that of my belief and information that she has in fact, that these dirty officers have in fact intercepted and preventing from her receipt letters that I had hand-delivered and sent to her either by U.S. mail, as I said, hand delivery, or even by UPS on a holiday that I wanted to get a letter out. They continue to misuse the surveillance drone that they have been oppressively surveilling me with for over 6 months now. And over the past, I would say, let's see, nearly 4 months, they have been misusing one of the sensors on this drone that is meant for surveillance and protective uses. They've been actually using it as a instrument of torture, in the sense that they have changed the settings on the device in order that when they discharge it at you, it causes pain, it causes torment, and it can actually interfere, wake you up at night by its discharge at and on your body, or prevent you from getting sleep. So it is used to generate sleep deprivation. They've used this several times. In fact, they discharge it on a daily basis. To speak a little bit about the drone, my understanding, drones are actually referred to as unmanned aerial systems, and they're kind of reminiscent of just one of those remote control airplanes that they've had around for years and years, where they can, fly it with, you can fly it with a remote control. But obviously, it's now a state-of-the-art thing that was developed for the military and by the, National Security Administration and they vary in size. I think most people recognize them as something where they send out these unmanned drones to blow up targets in the Middle East somewhere, but they're being used in the country now, and in fact, my understanding is that there are over 500 of them used nationwide. The one that and they come in various sizes. They can be as big as, you know, huge airplanes, or they can be as small as something that can fit in the palm of your hand. I have seen the drone that the IMPD is using on 23 occasions in the sky as it surveils me, and most recently I captured a video clip of it as it booked away across the sky, a beautiful blue sky, and I've posted that on YouTube as well. So I think it would probably need to be enhanced through, you know, video enhancement in order to make it more clear to the naked eye, but you can see in the video that I posted the use of this drone. And it's probably no bigger than the interior of this car. I think it's actually probably smaller. And it is equipped with what I've been able to ascertain are 5 pieces of equipment, surveillance equipment, that I'll just briefly go through. It's only one of them that I want to discuss in more detail right here. I just wanted to check to make sure that that was recording. The first one, of course, is a high-powered telescope, and this high-powered telescope has the capacity of actually having see-through-the-wall technology, where it can surveil you in your home, and it also has the ability to capture photographs and actually video. The second sensor is a high-powered, high-technology recording / eavesdropping equipment, and it can actually is so super sensitive that it is able to capture whispers. So if you were to whisper something in someone's ear, it can actually be captured by this device, and I don't know if they can enhance it right away as it's being actually said contemporaneously, or whether it is recorded and then played back and enhanced for them to hear it. But I could say something like, I could say something as in such a whisper of that, even less so, and it can be captured. And what I just said was, it's really cold and I've lost my gloves, but I actually haven't lost my gloves. They were stolen by the IMPD, which I'll get to in a couple of minutes. The third sensor that it is equipped with is an infrared thermal heat-seeking telescope. So I think we're more familiar with those as kind of a night vision kind of use, but this actually can sort of capture a subject's physicality, not just their heat sensors or their heat signature, but as well as it can ascertain, whether they're how fast their heart's beating. Or in my experience, the way that I ascertain that it can actually capture a flatulation. So if you fart, it actually sends out a heat signature when you actually do that, and that can be captured and commented on by whoever happens to be monitoring and operating the unmanned aerial system. The fourth sensor is an eye monitor, an eye tracker. So they can actually monitor where you are looking at any particular time and pinpoint what you're looking at. So that is a very kind of a creepy thing as well. And then the fifth sensor is what is referred to as a WAN. That's an acronym, or something like a WAN. It's an acronym for Weapons and Non-Permitted Device Detector. So I'm going to refer to it as a WAN. Before, I just used to refer to it as the device. It is actually the only one of the 5 pieces that actually interacts when it's discharged with the target. So it's a sonar-like device where when it is discharged, it sends sound waves. The purpose of it is to actually be able to see through clothing, so it can be discharged at your pockets or your coat to see what you're carrying. You might be carrying on your person. So it almost has sort of an X-ray ability in that sense, but it's not an X-ray. It's just sound waves, like, you know, ships send out to bounce off objects, you know, like a submarine, and then it sends back that information to the ship. Same concept, except that it is a sensor that's on a hovering unmanned aerial system that's being shot down at a person to see if they're carrying any sort of, as you know, as the acronym says, a weapon or non-permitted device. Well, these ingenious psychopaths at the IMPD have, over the course of these 4 months or so, developed or discovered and investigated and tested how resetting the controls of that particular sensor can actually weaponize it, where when it's discharged it can cause the target pain. It can be used to torment a person, and it can be used, as I said, to prevent or to interrupt sleep and thereby cause sleep deprivation. I've also raised the possibility that it can cause serious injury up to and including death, and they've actually discharged it to allude to that fact when they discharged it at my heart, and several times in different varying modes of operation at my head. But primarily it is used to send out stings and stabs. So it's not actually stabbing you, it's imitating the feeling of a stab by the way that it's reset the controls that it's sending out this sonic device. And I would refer you to the description. I don't want to get into those details right now, but if you look at the description, I go into more details about how that's actually accomplished. There are basically 3 mechanisms that I've ascertained that need to be reset in order to for it to modulate a particular pain setting or tormenting setting, or in fact they also have been using it to manufacture evidence, and I have already raised this in other videos that I've submitted and uploaded onto YouTube, as well as in several communications with the Department of Justice, the FBI, and this judge and other officials over the course of the weeks that they've been doing it. The manufacturing part is sort of a double team effort that's occurring. What happens is in the wee hours of the morning when I'm asleep, they're discharging this, and it's regular sort of modulating. I've likened it to the feeling of putting a massage chair on the wave setting, for those of you who might be familiar with that example. And they focus that in my private region, and it stimulates a biological response. And as a result, so that's what the unmanned aerial system, the operators, are doing. And then the double team is that there is a stakeout team that has commandeered an apartment that shares an adjacent wall with me, and they are using their own see-through-the-wall camera equipment in order to take photographs of this falsely generated biological response that the unmanned aerial system has, the wand sensor has generated. And over the course of weeks, they've really been focusing on that a lot and doing it a lot. So it appears as though that they have, you know, several dozen, several dozen photographs of my private area in various degrees of engorgement that I assume that they intend to apply to perpetrating, you know, additional fraud in supporting their false accusations. And that's not all that they've done to attempt to manufacture some pretext to take action against me. I recently wrote, I've written several letters over the past 4 to 6 weeks to Judge Borges, and the first one sort of gave a rundown of all the criminal acts, all of the injuries that this group of corrupt detectives have been perpetrating against me for the entire time that I've been here. And subsequently, my understanding or my inference from that letter of February 12th is that they were instructed to not discharge the wand device in a weapon capability or at all, other than for what its purpose is to ensure just to be used, you know, periodically and briefly to, you know, determine whether someone has a non-permitted device of some kind. Well, they completely ignored that, you know. I mean, they somewhat cut back for a short period of time, but then they ramped right back up and started using it even more viciously. I have returned to doing legal studies in order to prepare a motion to unseal, in order to stop my persecution. And last week I was reading court opinions that I had looked up in the law library and was reading at home in order to further the preparation of this motion. And for a 2-hour period, they were discharging the wand device in and at my head to create a throbbing pain. And I refused to stop reading the opinions on my computer, and they refused to stop. They were actually trying to force me to stop my protected activity by the misuse and exploitation of this high technology device that they're using against me. And they're breaking all kinds of other laws that are are meant to protect a person's privacy and their freedoms for people who are being targeted. A warrant that is issued for monitoring a person, it's very specific on what can and cannot be done. Only what is specifically listed in that warrant is what is allowed. Anything over and above that is illegal, and it makes the warrant illegal. I would say that the warrant is illegal on several levels, including it being obtained through judicial deception, where in order to get a judge to grant them this warrant and to obtain it so that they could misuse that authorization, they lied to the judge, either intentionally misrepresenting the truth, omitting several, if not a substantial amount of information that would put their misrepresentations into context. So, in other words, you know, if I told a person that, oh, I don't like so and so's food, and they take that information, they call that for example, my sister-in-law, and say, oh, he doesn't like the way you cook, or he doesn't think that you eat healthy, or whatever. What they've done is they've taken a bit of information out of context, twisted and distorted it in order to intentionally make me look bad to someone and make them not like me, or to dislike me further based on their lies, based on their half-truths that they've taken and intentionally distorted and twisted in order for that purpose. Now, that's kind of a small effect, but the disclosure of information that is obtained through electronic surveillance cannot be disclosed. That is a criminal offense that can get someone put in jail for, I believe, up to 3 years for that kind of criminality. No, I'm not sure about what the penalties are because they've broken so many laws. In fact, manufacturing of evidence that they present in court, if they were to do so and it was proven that that was manufactured evidence, then that's a criminal offense with multiple years of prison time for anyone who would do such a thing. And going further, so over the course of the weekend, it's just been horrible. They actually had a scheme in place on Sunday that they were going to, through their state